When you share your food, you share your heart. So what's on your table this holiday season? Save on your festive feast at Kroger with delicious deals on all the holiday classics. Or wow the crowd with something new, like a quinoa stuffed butternut squash. It's sure to add a pop of color to your spread. How about a sweet potato casserole with a crunchy oat streusel topping, made with care for the sweet tooth and the savory tooth? With Kroger, fill your table with love and watch as your guests' hearts get as full as their bellies. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a one-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Gift sport with gifts from Nike. From the retro Vomero 5 sneaker designed with Zoom Air cushioning to fleece engineered with lightweight warmth and next-level comfort, we have the perfect gift for any athlete on your list. Shop now at your nearest Nike store.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to your Post-Match Raw, podcasting to you from my field here in late night rural Ireland. I am Trev Downey, and joining me to give their immediate reactions to Liverpool 2, Real Madrid 0 in the Champions League from Anfield are Dave Hendrick and Jim Boardman. Dave, I was saying to yourself and Jim, I'm going to need you to do a bit of heavy lifting, a bit of early context for our listeners. My viewing apparatus, my particular arrangement let me down pretty badly this evening. So most of that first half hour was a blur, as were the last couple of minutes of that first half. Perfect coverage for the second half when things started to really look good for the Reds. But I will need you guys to do a little bit of heavy lifting. But before we get into details of the first half, overall, we've just been chatting amongst ourselves there before we went live with the mics to have a little look at this table, look at the teams that are around us, who do we expect to make the late runs to qualify automatically and all the rest of it. It is such a fucking relief, Dave, to not have to be wondering about how we'll clamber together points, because we've already got them.
Yeah, that's exactly it. 15 points. The only team, obviously, to have won all 5 games. We look very, very good right now in this competition and obviously in the Premier League. A 2-point lead on Inter and then 3 points over Barca and Dortmund, 4 ahead of Atalanta and 5 clear of anyone else in this competition. And when you look at the games we have remaining, we have Lille. They are currently in 12th with 10 points. They're a decent side. They've won 3 of their last 4 games. We have Girona, who won 1 of their 5 games and lost their most recent game away to Sturm Graz. And we have PSV Eindhoven. Girona are 30th, I should have said. And we have PSV Eindhoven, who are in 18th place with 8 points. Now, they did win tonight, but they made very hard work of it. They were 2-0 down to what is a very mediocre Shakhtar Donetsk team and scored in the 87th, 90th and 95th minute. So you would look at those 3 and think, even if we did need to win them all, we could need to win. We could go and win them all. But the fact of it is, one more win and we're as good as through. 18 points will be enough to get you through, almost without question. 16 might even be enough. So doing this early means that those January games that people were concerned about, having those 2 extra games bet into the January schedule now, won't affect us because those are games we can rotate in. We could win our next game. We'll be through. We won't need to worry about anything else. That next game is away to Girona on the 10th of December. It's an early kickoff for those that aren't aware. They're not very good. We should go there and beat them. And once we do that, we can take off the January games if Arne Slot chooses to do that and still breeze through in the top 8. So what a a springboard to give ourselves. And, it's fantastic to do it both in this and obviously in the league. Things are going incredibly well for us right now.
It's lovely to watch, and there's real chats to be had around Manchester City. Unfortunately for them, last night there was a absolute boatload, a literal boatload of young lads went from my place of work over to that game, led by my pal. A big shout out to Al, City fan all his life. Thought he was having an absolute wonderful game. In fact, Al had a bet on 3-1 to City. So when they got that first goal in the comeback, he was actually cheering. And then that happened. So that's unfortunate. We also saw some really weird stuff with little Guardiola afterwards, spitting in press conferences and looking like he's had a fight with a Teletubby. I can't wait to find out what the real story was there. And we will feed into our conversation later on for sure. Jim, let me bring you in on this, because it's sharp focus now almost immediately on that game. And it was tempting. And I know Dave was really clear about on at least one of his shows that, in the greater scheme of things, tonight didn't really matter compared to the game at the weekend. And I've no doubt you're of the same mind. I know that was very much where I was as well. I won't lie. When I was being frustrated by my viewing experience, I was kind of just throw, as they'd say here, my hat at the whole thing and go, oh, son, I don't care about this game anyway. But we beat Real Madrid tonight, Jim, and I really do care. And it's not about revenge, because it's all about context. The run that we've had against them has been obnoxious and awful, and they are not that much better than us. They have not been that much better than us. It's time to start redressing that balance. And I thought tonight, there is literally no one, not even the most one-eyed Real Madrid super fan, that can say that they were not outplayed overall and that Liverpool did not deserve that.
It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, I was of a similar opinion as yourself. We speaking to Jay on the Scouts at Tommy's earlier in the week, and we said, when we've played them in recent times, it's been such a big game, so nerve-wracking, and you've kind of seen the nerves on the players in those games, and maybe the occasions got the better of us and things like that against him. Funnily enough, Gareth Bale was talking before the match on whatever I was watching, and he said actually, when he was a Real Madrid player, he found quite often that they got away with stuff because teams would come and play the badge rather than the team. It was Real Madrid and they were already beaten before they got on the pitch, kind of thing. And there's a little bit of that with Liverpool. I think the last couple of times we played them, not to that extent, but enough that we let the occasion get the better of us. And I just thought this is one game where we can relax. We don't. For one thing, it's just a group game in a massively weird new group system, or the league system, if you like. It's we're top of the table coming into the week. Now we still are. It's not the end of the world if we lose it. We've got a bigger game. To me, if you're gonna rest players and save players for one of the two games, or if you're gonna sort of accept you can't play your strongest team for both matches, this would be the match you'd let people go and miss out on. And he just, and I did sort of expect that to be the case tonight. I did think he'd have a couple of changes, not a full-on, Carabao Cup kind of changes, but, just a few. In honesty, maybe we've not got that much of a squad fit at the moment to make that many changes anyway. Let's be fair. You could have made a few changes, but not wholesale changes. But he did go strong, and I'm so glad he did. Because thinking about it, although we say we weren't bothered about tonight, and I wouldn't have been, it's so good that we did win. It's so good that we won in such style as well. And make no mistake, although this isn't as big a game in terms of it not being a Champions League final, it's a big game for Real Madrid. This could be the one that's like the final nail in their coffin this season for this competition that they currently hold. It could be that big a game to them. This, as Dave just pointed out, this is the game that gets us so close to being able to put our feet up in this competition. And so whenever it is that we're next involved, and it matters, which is quite some while off, certainly not those January games by the sounds of it. And it just keeps this momentum going as well. I mean, since that game against Arsenal, that I wouldn't say we were at our best during that game, but a draw was a great result back then. If you were playing that game this Saturday, you'd be disappointed with the draw, because since then we've just found what we've needed to do. And I would argue tonight that's one of the best performances I've seen maybe this season from us. I mean, it's certainly better than what we saw at the weekend, for example, against Southampton. It's just so vital that we in hindsight, I'm glad Slot knew what he was doing and went and did this, because the message that we're sending out to other teams, but more importantly, the message we're sending out inwardly, you could see the confidence in those lads. That's a big scout tonight.
Psychologically, it's huge for us in terms of the bounce that we'll have going into the weekend. And you could see what it meant to the likes of McAllister, who I thought was outstanding tonight. I thought Conor Bradley was outstanding tonight. I thought Alexis, particularly, though, it's just great to see him back to himself. Konate also on Verge, but I'll tell you what, you could go around the team. Curtis Jones, very strong as well. Queeveen was obviously outstanding. I thought there was a good lot from Mo, although people will be delighted with the narrative that Mo had his sort of moment of humiliation. That might now soften his cough and he won't be making comments like that anymore. Bollocks. All that is going to do.
I hope he comes straight out after the game and makes more comments.
I hope he does too, Dave, but all that's going to do, missing that penalty, all that's going to do is make him absolutely mad to score against City, which he probably will.
He missed a couple of seasons ago, didn't he? But he wasn't playing crap at the time. He just missed a couple of pens.
Yeah. There's something for everyone in this. We should have a quick look, though, at the team selections. Obviously, Real were struck by injuries to a certain extent and didn't have, quite a lot of players that they would like to have available. But let's focus on the Reds really quickly first. With Keller obviously still in for Allison, and what a night that kid had. Bradley comes in right back because Trent's not quite there yet. He had a super night. Konate had a super night. Van Dijk, solid. Robertson, well, we'll talk about that. Jones, Gravenberch, McAllister was our midfield. Salah, Núñez, Diaz was our forward line. We had Yaros and Davies on the bench for goalkeeper cover. We had Gomez, Endo, Szoboszlai, Gakpo, Elliott, Alexander-Arnold, Kwanzaa and Morton. That's no shabby bench at all. And to be fair, and just to get your take on this, Dave, because I know you obviously did schedule it ahead of this. I know people were saying it might be nice to have quite a bit of rotation. I think I didn't expect anything other than what I saw tonight. I'll be perfectly honest with you, with the exception of maybe Dom starting for one of the other midfield positions. I fully expected to see that team tonight, and I'm actually glad I did. And, I'm still very much scarred by that Brendan Rodgers era game against Real. I can never get that out of my head. So I'm glad we went strong. What did you think? Were you a bit frustrated? Would you have liked to see more slightly experimental lineup, given that you had it ranked quite low in order of importance in the?
No, I mean, look, my point was more, if we lose this game, people shouldn't be in any way upset about it, because ultimately it is not an important game to us in the grand context of the season. The much more important games are the league games coming up. I would even rank the EFL Cup quarter-final above it, because it's a quarter-final. This was a game in which, even if we'd lost tonight, we would still be sitting, I think, second. We'd be right up there. Actually, I think we might be third in the Champions League table if we'd lost tonight. I think Inter would be first, Barca second above us on goal difference, and then it would be us. So we'd still be third. So it wasn't really anything to get yourself too worked up over. That was more my point. Like, you guys talked about this rivalry we've had with Real, where it's been very one-sided for a number of years. We battered them at Anfield back in 2009, and we haven't been able to beat them since. But I was thinking about that in the context of, what were those games? So there's the two games under Rodgers. They were much, much better than us at that point. Like, they were levels above us. So I didn't expect to beat them then. Then there was the final in 2018. They were a much better team than us, and they were going for their third Champions League in a row. We were still building a team. So us getting to that final was a massive upset that nobody had predicted. I went into that game thinking we were outmatched, but it is a final and anything can happen. We were massively outmatched in 2005 as well, and yet we managed to pull it off. So you go in thinking, it's a one-off game. Maybe we pull this out, even though they're a better team. Then you look forward at the games in 2020-21. We're ravaged by injuries. no Virgil, no Matip, no Gomez, make believe or make a wish kids playing centre back. So I didn't expect us to beat them that year. 21-22 is the one that remains a sore point for me, because we were a better team than them going into that final. And I maintain that if we hadn't chased the quadruple, we'd probably win either the league or the Champions League, because our legs wouldn't have been gone.
Yeah.
And we were the better team on that night in that final. So that one is the one that stings. The last, was it 22-23? They beat us 5-2 at Anfield. That was just a shit night. Like, we go 2-0 up and then we just capitulate. But we capitulated all season long that year. So I didn't mind that as much in the context of how our season was going. It was embarrassing, but you don't mind it. But tonight, we're flying. They're stumbling a bit, particularly in this competition. They're coming in with 4 starters missing in Vinny Jr., Tchouaméni, Carvajal and Eder Militao, plus Rodrigo, who would come in for Vinny as like the first forward off the bench. He might even have started. So, they're missing a bunch of players. Now, so are we. We're missing Trent. I know he was in the bench, but he clearly wasn't fit enough to play. So Trent, Ali and Jota, who'd all be, I think, in our starting 11. So it's not like a thing where we were at full strength and they had some injuries. Both teams had injuries. They just had a couple more. But we're also missing Chiesa. Harvey Elliott is not yet fully up to speed. So, we have our own issues. So it was kind of a thing for me of, people shouldn't get upset if this goes against us. But there is a real opportunity for us to go and win a game against Real Madrid, which would just be a nice boost anytime you beat them. And Gareth Bale says teams came and played the badge for a reason. Because they are just, like, we classify ourselves as European royalty, but ultimately they're the kings of the castle when it comes to the Champions League. They've won the Champions League more times than any country has had all of their teams win it. So they've won it as many times as all the English clubs, more than all the Italian clubs, more than all the German clubs. They've dominated the competition. So to beat them in the competition, regardless of the circumstance, it's always nice.
Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for adults with migraine with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents, on average, 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Ask your doctor and visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
The holidays are here at the Home Depot. If you're working on getting ready for company,
a lot of company,
make sure you're ready with Black Friday savings. Get up to 40% off select appliances, plus up to an extra $1,000 off select kitchen appliances. Upgrade your kitchen with top brands like GE Profile and get sleek cutting-edge appliances to make sure you've
got hosting handled.
Yeah, you do. Get Black Friday savings now with free delivery and financing on select appliances this holiday at the Home Depot. Offer valid November 6th through December 4th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac, and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes, and games consoles. Visit libertyshield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, and in the context as well of a European night under the lights, ahead of a massive game, on the back of the run that we're on, it just all feels very, very good. They went tonight, Dave, with Courtois, and obviously they've had to make a few tweaks here. So we've got Valverde, Asensio, Rudiger, Mendy, Modric, Camavinga, Bellingham, and Güler, Mbappe, Diaz. Let's not do too many big cries over that particular selection of footballers because it's fucking outstanding. On their bench, they've got Lunin, they've got Gonzalez, they've got the Cockney version of you, young Hendrick, Lucas, Vallejo, Ceballos, Garcia, Aguado, De Llanos, and Yanez. And we were ref tonight, we will just mention briefly, by Francois Letexier, who I expect you guys will have something to say about. Just a brief word on that.
Tierney.
Yeah. Tierney, very nice. Let's just have a brief word on them before Jim and I get stuck into the first half proper. Because, like I say, I know you've had a look ahead to this, and I know you're a big fan, like I am, of Carlo.
Yeah,
it's impossible to dislike Carlo, and he's one of those guys that trophies just sort of come to him like magnets. I respect the hell out of Carlo Ancelotti. I find it very hard to warm to Real Madrid as a club, always have. Everything they stand for, it's kind of the antithesis of what I've always been into. But
the original state-owned team, aren't they? I mean, they were Man City decades before Man City became Man City. They were before PSG became PSG. This was all thrust up by the Spanish government, who many years ago in the 2000s, they were 500 million in debt, on the verge of being in major trouble. No banks willing to bail them out, and they sold their training ground, which was valued at about 150 million euro, to the Spanish government for over 500 million, and were given a plot of land in the deal as well, which to build their new training ground. But there was nothing fishy about it, of course. There was no backroom dealing taking place there. Look, you're right. They're missing some players. Nobody's going to cry for them. You've got Fede Valverde. He might be the best all-round midfielder in the world. You're sticking him at right back, that's fine. If he played right back week to week, he'd probably be the second or third best right back in the world because he's good at fucking everything. You've got Antonio Rudiger, who's a 3-time Champions League winner. Ferland Mendy's won everything there is to win in the club game. Asensio looks a very promising young centre-back. Pace, power, good in the air, reads the game well. He's one I think they'll be very happy with. We know about Courtois. We've all come to hate Courtois after 2022. He's one of the best in the world. If it wasn't for our fella, he might be the best in the world. In midfield, Luka Modric is an all-time great. Jude Bellingham is the finest English midfielder since Stevie was in his pomp. And Eduardo Camavinga, for my money, is the next great number 6. When Rodri passes over at the peak, Camavinga is the one that's going to establish himself as the best on the planet in that position. The kid is absolutely sensational on and off the ball. He's everything I would want in our midfield. And then in attack, like, I will be honest, I don't get Brahim Diaz at all. People try and tell me this is a special footballer. I don't see it. I don't know how it is that at this point in his career he's carved out playing for City, AC Milan and Real Madrid.
And won leagues with the lot. And
won leagues with them, won Champions Leagues. I just don't see it. It never impresses me at all. There's no one thing he does at an elite level. I do think Arda Güler on the other side is a special talent. And Kylian Mbappe might be the best player in the world. So, nobody's going to shed a tear for them because they're missing a few lads. They're really good lads they're missing, but there's really good lads coming in. Where you notice it with them, though, is on the bench. Because Dani Ceballos is fairly average. Lucas Vazquez is a club legend there because he's been there for so long. But he's always been like a really good squad player for them. He is to them what, Darren Fletcher or John O'Shea or Phil Neville were to United for years under Ferguson. He's the guy that comes in and plugs a gap. And then Lunen's a decent backup goalkeeper. And then it's just kids. Knowing the other thing is, one of the kids is Hendrick, who they paid like 55 million for. So, cry me a river, you've got your 55 million pound 18-year-old on the bench that you bought when he was 16 and had to wait for him. But there's a bunch of kids then after that, which is less than ideal for them. But like, nobody's going to shed a tear for them. They're the big evil machine. And like you said, they're hard to warm to. But Carlo's a lovable sort. So I always want to see him do well. And they do always have great players. One of the curses of them being who they are is they always buy players that you love watching. So you're forced to watch them play. So even if you don't like them as a club, you find yourself at times rooting for them because you're rooting for certain players or for Carlo. But yeah, it's still a hell of a team even with the injuries.
Which makes the win tonight all the more impressive. And Jim, if I'm going to rely on you now entirely to give me a breakdown of the first, say, 15, 16 minutes, up as far as where Gravenberch picked up a yellow for a foul on Mbappe, or at least that's what my commentary man was telling me just as I came online. And so it's the first incident of note that I have that I could make anything out of. So would you fill in for our listeners what that first 16 minutes was all about and what happened within it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll not live up to your standards, Trev, but I'll do my best off the notes I took and the memories I've got of them. 3 minutes in, I'm writing the word wow down. It was just Salah just taking the ball off Mbappe, and just him and Darwin and Mo, and just in the end, it was cleared off the line. 3 minutes in, this was like a good sign of intent from Liverpool, I thought. Corner didn't result in much other than Diaz shooting over. And there was just, I was just enjoying the passing from Liverpool at this point. They were just winning the ball back, finding their own plays, and just maybe every so often a little bit of a forced pass, they'd lose the ball, but they'd come and get it again. And on the whole, just great play. But then, like every Real, there's always a next section. There was a moment of sloppiness from Virgil, and I know we're going to come on to this other guy in a minute, but it was thanks to Robbo that Virgil was sort of rescued from that little bit of a bad pass, and that was 7 minutes in. Obviously, as the game goes on, we'll talk more about Mr. Robbo, but 8 minutes, Darwin was down, but play on, and I think they were starting to get these signs there. Liverpool players were going down. We weren't getting to see much replays of them. Were they fouls, were they not? But there was sort of early signs here that we were getting that sort of uneven refereeing where, sort of challenges that look 50-50, we don't get, they do get. By 11 minutes, there was a bit of sort of Darwin Núñez cameo, if you like. I didn't see the actual incident as it happened. We had a corner. Salah had done as a corner. Next thing you know, Darwin's on the floor and the ref's waving his arms around. Darwin's on the floor in the penalty box. I'm not sure, I can't remember who the player was. But
Asensio,
yeah. And basically the two of them are just having a bit of a handbag session. As we might have called it in the old days, just a bit of pulling and shoving and fighting, and Darwin goes down and ends up needing treatment. I'm not sure he needed treatment as much as he was just sort of trying it on a little bit. But the ref wasn't going to do anything. I think VAR had a quick look, and it did. It was never going to be given any other way than 6 away.
Here's what gets me, Jim, right?
Yeah.
So the ref doesn't see this happen. The ref they showed one replay. You can see the ref. He is watching Mo as Mo wins the corner.
Yeah.
Asensio has a hold of Darwin. Darwin's trying to get free, and then Darwin is pulling and dragging out of him. And then they're shoving each other a little bit while still gripped to each other. It's a bit like some sort of Greco-Roman wrestling. Asensio does put his hand to Darwin's face and slap at him.
Yeah.
And Darwin hits the deck like a sack of shit. Now, very similar to what we saw happen at the weekend against Southampton. But again, the referee hasn't seen this happen. He's just turned around and Darwin is lying flat on his back and the players are starting to have a bit of argy-bargy. We see one replay. And the referee decides to book both of them. But he's booked both of them based off an incident he didn't see.
Yeah. And you talk about the VAR card.
Because I don't know if it has the VAR said to him, this has happened. book both of them. Because we got no transparency at all between the VAR and the ref tonight. We didn't hear anything. The commentators didn't seem to be getting any feed off the VAR. We weren't getting replays shown live on TV. You might be looking at. So, like, it was just really weird that he turned around and booked both of them when Darwin didn't really do anything. It wasn't a red card. Like, I'm not suggesting it was, but it was just really odd that he booked both of them.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to remember where the timing was because it wasn't really clear with the replay. Presumably the ball was out of play, otherwise it would have been a question mark for a penalty, and he should have been looked at for that. And you're right, VAR can't judge yellow cards unless I've missed something. It can turn a yellow to a red if it feels like it, but I've never seen it sort of say that's a yellow card. The ref has to go and decide that by looking at the screen. Yeah, it was just an odd one, and I just find, English League VAR is an absolute mess, but I find European VAR is a mess in a different way. I don't know. There's just some different way that they found to mess it up and make it seem odd. And as you say, we weren't getting any replays. And I think to be honest, that booking for Darwin probably was harsh, and it certainly, to me, had me worried about him for the rest of the game because the kind of player he is, and the kind of attitude he had tonight. He's back in our own box time and again, trying to win the ball back and things. And you just felt, and there were times as the game went on where they were, sort of using that a little bit because they're not stupid. This is, of all the great things you can say about Real Madrid's players, it's having that sort of game knowledge, that gamesmanship, if you like, that knowledge of just knowing how to push someone a little bit too far, just like the mission.
Our youth team play their youth team earlier today in the UEFA Youth League, and it was very clear that, like, they're getting at least one training session a week on the dark arts and how to spoil games and how to win free kicks and buy yellow cards and stuff like that. Even just watching their kids play, so you know what's happening at the senior level. But this kind of set the tone for the referee. And
5 minutes later, Gravenberch has got booked.
So this is even more ridiculous stuff. Yeah. So Gravenberch feels he's been fouled down the other end of the field, right? Nothing is given. Gravenberch has a bit of a fucking temper tantrum. Nothing's given. They get on. They start playing. Ball comes up. Mbappe gets it. Dribbles in field. Passes the ball. Virgil comes across and absolutely poleaxes the fella. Like, leaves him in an absolute bundle. Could easily have been booked. Gravenberch is running back and he says something to the ref on his way past. And the ref, who I think was going to book Virgil, got distracted by Gravenberch and booked him instead from mouthing about something that he shouldn't have been mouthing about. So, like, it's a stupid yellow card for Gravenberch to get. But again, with the referee, it's like, what is the thought process here? Virgil's just absolutely upended that fella. Nowhere near the ball. And now you're booking someone else and letting Virgil just trot off back, give him a big smile.
Yeah, he's not even going having the talk as well. I mean, I don't think every bad foul is a yellow card. I think sometimes it does make sense of the ref to just pull a player over and give him a bit of a lecture, because if they do it again, they know they're going to get a yellow. But when you just do that, it's frustrating. If we'd have been on the other side of that with Virgil, we'd be wondering why the player wasn't booked. But I've just basically, because I think just booking Gravenberch for that, it just felt petty. You can see he was annoyed. I think just don't be so. It's this sort of attitude of, how dare you speak to a referee in that way? Yellow card automatically. It's
like, it is. That's him trying to make himself out to be like, I'm the one in charge here. Like, to be fair, he was consistent about it because he booked one of their players. I think he booked Ceballos in the second half for gobbing at him as well. So at least there was consistency there. But it was just weird that it was Virgil who should have got the yellow. And he doesn't even, like, if he'd given Gravenberch the yellow and then gone and booked Virgil, I'd be like, oh, okay, fair enough. But he seemed to get completely distracted by the fact that Gravenberch had the temerity to say something to him.
It's all very well acted like a rugby referee on rare occasions, and then whoever it happens to be, I remember Wayne Rooney used to spend most of his game just shouting at abuse at referees, and he never got booked for it. Very rarely did. It's a kind of a constant thing that there's the lack of consistency across the board with it. It seems to be reliant, as you guys are saying, on the personality of the ref, which is
John Terry's leading his whole team to surround the ref, and there was no cards dished out.
Exactly. Now, I will say I'm delighted that you clarified what happened there, because my stream literally came online when I could see Mbappe fucking bouncing off a lad, and I went, Jesus Christ! I'll tell you what, Gravenberch's obviously been hitting the weights, but no, it was Virgil, is what you're telling me, and Gravenberch was booked for Met, and that makes a lot more sense to me, and my world makes more sense as a result. There was a lovely pass forward by Mo Salah to Darwin on 18 minutes, but Darwin couldn't get his feet right, and I'm just not quite 100% sure because, like I say, I missed so much of that first half what Darwin was doing, but let's just give him a little bit of credit because he is involved on about the half-hour mark in a couple of good things. Now, again, there's a little bit of lag time for me here, but I think it was more a lack of stuff happening. The next big event of note that I've noted down anyway was that absolutely wow moment of the Bradley versus Mbappe tackle. He had to make it. He had to get it right. He absolutely nailed it. It was a livener for the crowd, who were already good, but I thought Anfield was absolutely outrageously good at times tonight. That was one of the high points. And, you know, I think there's a snobby attitude to things like that, but we've all played the game, and I know for a fact I can still remember to this day several of the tackles that I made as much as I can remember goals. I remember a tackle I made when I was only a little kid, after about 12 years old in a big game. I can remember tackles that all the way through my teenage life. I remember tackles when I was playing in my 20s. These are just as important. And when you get one of those right, it's a fucking wow moment. Bradley tonight.
I was just going to say, but you can remember that feeling for that split second of, am I getting this right or am I getting this badly wrong?
You can, and you can remember the contact with the ball and going through the other lad, and it's fucking magnificent. And it genuinely is. It's genuinely one of the best memories of playing ball for me was I've got the ball and now I've taken him, and that's a bonus. But
that might be the best sliding tackle that's taken place at Anfield since Fabinho crunched Luis Suarez. Now, Fabinho got booked for it wrongly. But you're just trying to think like that. You don't see tackles like that very often anymore because the game's gotten so soft.
No, you will see the likes of Ibu get a foot across and block.
Yeah, yes, exactly. But not like that full-throated, it's so one.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full, and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Black Friday is coming, and for the adults in your life who love the coolest toys, well, there's something for them this year too. Bartesian is the premier craft cocktail maker that automatically makes more than 60 seasonal and classic cocktails, each in under 30 seconds at the push of a button. And right now, Bartesian is having a huge site-wide sale. You can get $100 off any cocktail maker or cocktail maker bundle when you spend $400 or more. So, if the cocktail lover in your life has been good this year, or the right kind of bad, get them Bartesian. At the push of a button, make bar-quality cosmopolitans, martinis, Manhattans, and more. All in just 30 seconds. All for $100 off. Amazing toys aren't just for kids. Get $100 off a cocktail maker when you spend $400 through Cyber Monday. Visit Bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.